Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
2024. Was it a blur for you too? And while you try to comprehend the year that just whizzed by, consider that the 2020s, the decade that began in lockdown, is now half over. Remember when for a brief moment, the moon blocked out the sun and gave us a moment of clarity as to just what we're all doing here? Does that not seem like eons ago? Well, the eclipse was actually back in April. It's good to be with you. I'm Mitch Burke, and with the help of our partners at NewsRadio, we're going to be taking a look back at the year that was. What were the big stories, and how it all may just show us where we are headed as we look to 2025. And of course, we will continue to break down the big story for you every day in the new year. But we're going to call this episode Slice of Life. The big stories that did not necessarily fall into the bucket of crime or politics or sports, but the stories that resonated and made headlines for a whole number of reasons. So let's get into it.
This is Phil Martino with a look back at March 22nd, when weeks of rumors and speculation about Kate Middleton's whereabouts finally came to an end. The Princess of Wales announced her cancer diagnosis. In her video message taped at Windsor, Kate Middleton says in January she had major abdominal surgery.
And at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present.
The Princess of Wales says her medical team advised her to undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and she is now in the early stages of that treatment.
This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family.
In a statement, King Charles says he is so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. Prince Harry and his wife Meghan are wishing the Princess of Wales well. They say in a statement, "We wish health and healing for Kate and the family and hope they're able to do so privately and in peace."
This is Irene Precklett with a look back at July 25th, when we learned just how bad the damage was from a massive wildfire in Jasper. The town was left almost unrecognizable. Homes and businesses reduced to rubble, and in some cases, only foundations remained. The streets lined with charred cars and trucks. Here is Alberta's forestry minister.
The images we're seeing out of Jasper are devastating, and my heart goes out to the community.
The province's premier brought to tears talking about the town, including her family memories of it. Danielle Smith says Alberta will help give support to rebuild and recover,
so that future generations can continue to experience this one-of-a-kind community and to feel the magic of being able to come home.
Despite the destruction, no one was killed from the fast-moving fire.
On the July 30th episode of The Big Story, City News reporter Sean Amato talked about what it was like doing a drive-through of Jasper in the aftermath.
It confirms what I've known from other forest fire scenes, is that it's very random. The wind blows things around, the wind blows embers around, and you will see, a whole block of houses is fine, but two in the middle are gone. And that's sort of what we've seen there as well. The good news is that all their critical infrastructure is still there. The hospital is there, the schools are there, the wastewater treatment plant is there, their emergency services building there, so their fire and police station are still there. So there is a lot gone, but there's also a lot to rebuild from.
This is Alex Bloomfield with a look back on April 8th, shortly after 3 in the afternoon, when much of southern Ontario experienced a once-in-a-lifetime total solar eclipse. I was standing on Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton alongside City's Michelle Mackey.
It is getting nearly black in Hamilton. Wow, and the skies, they've nearly cleared the cloud cover. I mean, this couldn't be better timing.
Very, very close to the peak of things here. 3:17 seconds away from total eclipse time here in Hamilton. We're getting a big cheer from the crowd behind me. And honestly, the lights of the stadium here, it looks like a night game. It is like a night game here in the middle of the field. It might as well be a Ticats game at 8 p.m. at night. That is how dark it is at the moment. It actually looks like the sun is going to be setting in a couple of minutes, but the sun is directly overhead, just completely blocked out by the moon at the moment. For this once-in-a-lifetime thing, hasn't happened since 1979 in this part of the world, and it won't happen again in this area until after 2100.
This is Chris McCusker with a look back at July 19th and that massive IT outage brought on by a CrowdStrike update impacting millions of Windows systems. It led to an apology from the CEO and founder, George Kurtz.
We're deeply sorry for the impact that we've caused to customers, to travelers, to anyone affected by this, including our companies. So we know what the issue is. We're resolving and have resolved the issue now. It's recovering systems that are out there. And essentially, as you've talked about in the statement I put out, is the system was sent an update, and that update had a software bug in it and caused an issue with the Microsoft operating system. And we identified this very quickly and remediated the issue.
Delta Airlines was probably the hardest hit. It was forced to cancel thousands of flights and a few months later decided to sue CrowdStrike. The outage, which was global, is considered by many to be the largest in history.
This is Phil Martino with a look back at November 26th, the day Paul Bernardo, who's serving an indeterminate life sentence for the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of 15-year-old Kristen French and 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey in the early 1990s, was denied bail for the third time. 60-year-old Paul Bernardo wanted day parole at a halfway house or escorted absences from prison so that he could attend a community program for sex offenders, but he was denied both by the Parole Board of Canada. According to the board, while he has made some progress, there's still serious concern about his risk to reoffend. The hearing heard from the family members of Bernardo's victims, including the mother of Leslie Mahaffey, who said in her emotional victim impact statement, "I remain hopeful that you understand the sadistic, manipulative, and psychopathic nature of Bernardo's behavior and the endless threat he represents to public safety."
This is Chris McCusker with a look back at December 4th, the day Bitcoin hit $100,000, much to the delight of crypto watchers who had been predicting this. Michael Vogel is the CEO of Encore Ventures and the founder of Netcoins and CoinStream in Canada.
There is what they call the fear and greed index of Bitcoin, and currently that's at 84 out of 100. So the market is definitely frothy, seen a massive run-up in less than 2 months. Just literally a couple months ago, we were at 50K, then 60K and 70K. And there was some chatter about whether it would trade in that range for many more months and maybe retest support in the, as low as 49 or even 39K.
Now, Vogel says there is likely more room to run for crypto, with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump set to move back into the White House next year. He is seen as more friendly to crypto, but Vogel cautions the volatility is not likely to ease.
This is Phil Martino with a look back at September 13th, the day pop star Justin Timberlake pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of driving while impaired in connection with his June arrest in the Hamptons. Justin Timberlake was arrested on June 18th in Sag Harbor, New York, after police say he ran a stop sign, veered out of his lane, and got out of his BMW smelling of alcohol. Originally, the pop star had pleaded not guilty to a misdemeanor charge of driving while intoxicated. But today he entered a new plea, guilty to impaired driving.
I try to hold myself to a very high standard for myself. And this was not that. This was not that.
The judge sentenced the 43-year-old singer to a $500 fine with a $260 surcharge and 25 hours of community service. He's also required to make a public safety announcement about the dangers of driving drunk.
This is Jamie Pulfer with a look back at Tuesday, August 27th.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you.
The brothers Gallagher, Noel and Liam, rock and roll's most bitter sibling rivalry and breakup. But 15 years later, Oasis is back with a reunion tour many thought would never happen.
We made people feel something that was indefinable.
The band posting that video, triggering so much reaction and nostalgia.
30 years since that debut album, 15 years since they split. It was a different time.
Our generation's the Beatles. I think they could well want to break Taylor Swift's record.
The tour starts in the UK in July. Toronto is the first leg of the North American shows, August 24th and 25th at Rogers Stadium. That's at Downsview Park, and it doesn't exist yet. The open-air venue that holds 50,000, set to open in June. And tickets, that's a whole other story.
And that wraps up this special year in review episode of The Big Story. You can send us feedback on this episode or any other by emailing us at hello@thebigstorypodcast.ca, or you can leave a voicemail at 416-935-5935. You can find us on the Seeker app or on all your favorite podcast players. Please rate, review, follow, and share. I'm News Radio's Mitch Burke. Thanks for listening.